with yours truly, Telisa Franklin. Well, I always share with you that in order to have a true connection with God, we must have a true relationship with God. So what's the difference? Because many of us grew up saying that we had a religion. What is a religion? Is it really a duty or is it a cult? We don't know. We didn't know because we were going on what we found that our parents introduced us to. But how many know that just because your parents introduce you to their way, is it truly God's way? But when you have a true relationship with God, that true relationship with God will allow Welcome to another edition of Religion versus Relationship with yours truly, Telisa Franklin. Well, in order to truly have a relationship with God, you have to be connected to Him. Yes, connected to Him. So you will know Him and He'll know you. It's something about the voice of the Lord. I can hear Him saying clearly what He wants me to do. But growing up in the church with my amazing grandfather and grandparents, my grandmother, we would always hear of people saying religion. Don't make me put down my religion and do this and do that. But truly, if you have a relationship with somebody, you just can't put that down. You have to pick it back up and make it right. Even if I have a relationship with you that's watching, even if you make me mad or I make you mad, our relationship will keep us coming back. And that's how our God is. No matter what you do, God loves us so much that He forgives us and He welcomes us back because of the relationship. So I can't lay down my relationship with you. Neither can I lay down my relationship with God. And on today, I wanted to have a millennium, a young man that grew up in the church, had an option to go otherwise, but he decided to be and return back to God. And when he returned back to God into church, he didn't do like so many others say, I got to be in my family's church. He sought another membership. Did not like his family no less and no more, but he knew that he had to go where he has a true relationship with God, that he can hear God on his level. So are you singing in a church and you're not going anywhere? You're just going through the religious moments, the religious cult, the religious tactics because you grew up there, but you're not growing? How crazy is that? But when you have a relationship with God, He'll put you in that place where you can truly hear Him clearly and see your growth. So with this young man, he's not only a young man, but he is a police officer on the Memphis Police Department. He holds a master's degree. Yes, an African American man holds a master's degree. He loves God. He's a motivational speaker. He's also in the family of the Campbells. You know, those beautiful men. Yes, I love them too. But not only that, when he looked at his life, he saw his life in a different light. And that's why he's here today, to encourage you. When you have a true relationship with God, you'll understand Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans that I have for you. God knows He got great plans for you. No matter where you are today, recognize the plan that He has for you. Stay tuned. We'll be with LaPloya. He will be talking with us about how he understood that God has plans for his life. Not what man say, but what the man God says. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Religion versus Relationship with yours truly, Telisa. On the set today, we have an amazing young man by the name of LaPloria. Many people call him LP. For me, he's just LaPloria to me. Yes, he is. But I really want him to really share his story and welcome on today. Thank you so
much for inviting me.
Oh.
It's truly an honor and a blessing to be here. I truly appreciate you taking out the time to have me.
Well, thank you. You talk so well. Well, and I got some treats for you at the end, y'all. Well, I want LaPloria, LP, whichever one you prefer. We'll go with LP.
All right.
I want you really to share because, first of all, I am so proud of an African American man that's doing great things in this kingdom. You are doing, I just had an opportunity to hear you speak, and it was simply amazing, okay? You have, I've really seen the hands of the Lord on your life. But not only that, you have a master's degree, and it's amazing for a black man to have a master's degree at a HBCU college, Mississippi Valley.
Yes, ma'am.
So that makes my heart smile. But when you think about in Memphis, and you are a Memphis Police Department, you serve at the great police department of
Memphis finest, yes, ma'am.
That's right. In our great city of Memphis, where we are speaking safe. We are the safest city in Memphis.
Yes, ma'am. We have to speak it. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
right. Because the Bible said power and life and death is in our tongue.
Yes, ma'am.
And I will not say that we're in the baddest city. I said we're in the safest city because God has given us men like you that serve on the force.
Oh man, that's just truly an honor for you to boast about me so well. But I honestly have to say, to God be the glory, because without Him, I truly don't know where I would be. And the people who invested in me at such a young, early age, I just try my best to not let their investment go to waste. So I truly just thank God for everything. I don't know where I would be without Him.
Absolutely. No, we don't know where we'll be without the Lord.
Most definitely.
But so I've given you all the accolades, LaPloria, LP. But I really want our viewers to see through you what God has really done, because there may be some brothers out there today thinking they can't make it. You are from the great North Memphis.
Yes, ma'am.
You graduated from Fraser High School.
Yes, ma'am,
and when everybody said, is there anything bad can come out of Fraser? You are a living proof that some great things come out of Fraser.
Oh, yes, ma'am. That's just life. For those young people who are struggling at that dark place in their life where they feel that their current situation is definitely their permanent situation, I just want to let them know, just to encourage them, that it's not. God has a plan for you. Your plan versus God's plan is totally unbelievable. So once we stop thinking our plan and just know that God has something greater and bigger, I think we'll be able to accept what He has for us. But it's definitely a process to do that. My life personally, it was definitely some days where I thought where I was just meant to be, in the hood, poverty, second best of everything, not really having my own of anything. So I really thought where I was where I was destined to be. But as we speak on relationships with God, as I gained a relationship with Him, I learned that He has a lot more in store for me.
And so when you think about that, starting in North Memphis, and many of people may not know your fully story. You're looking at a young brother that mom was heavily addicted to substance abuse.
Yeah.
No father really present. All was there was what we saw.
Right.
Okay? But sometimes what we see is not what God sees for us.
Right.
So growing up, did you ever imagine you would be where you are today?
I see you have really done your homework. Yeah. But no, I haven't. I can't sit here and say that I did what I did project for me to be, maybe in and out of jail, several kids running around here, just what was normal to me. What the guys I looked up to, what they had is what I wanted. Nice cars, multiple women, nice bankroll money in my pocket, so that's what I wanted. So to envision 10, 20 years later, I would be motivational speaking. I would obtain a master's degree, no children. I've never been incarcerated a day in my life. So to think that. No, I can't sit here and say that. But again, my plan versus his plan was totally different. So.
Absolutely. And thinking about this, when you grew up in a church, you saw life is in church, but you never saw what most people think is the finer things of life in church.
Right.
So you saw the struggle. You saw the constant coming to church without. You saw going to the going to the thrift stores and having, as you said, second best, but never seeing the first best. Was there any people and you saw everybody in the church was probably in the same level that we were, okay? So what was that one thing that taught you to say, hey, I can have better? What was your eyes on?
Oh man, I honestly have to say athletes. Deion Sanders, definitely one of my favorite athletes. One of my favorite athletes, professional football. I'm sure everybody knows him. After Jerry Rice, probably the second greatest player to ever lace up cleats. I saw an interview at a young age, and Deion said that the reason that I wear my gold chains and the reason I drive my fancy cars is I want to motivate the children that still live in these urban communities, in these ghettos, that you can have these nice things without selling drugs.
Absolutely. And you think about Deion wasn't a pastor.
No,
he wasn't in the pulpit. He was just on the streets.
Right.
So really, in essence, he was really an evangelist. He just probably never called himself.
I'm sure.
So once we come back, and we're going to take a break, we want to now talk about you leaving your home church, going off to college, the decisions in which you made as a young man, and what pricked you to say, I'm coming back home, but I'm not coming back home to my home church. I'm going to see what other plans God has for me. Because when you went to college at Mississippi Valley,
Yes, ma'am.
when you went to college, I'm sure you was able to see a lot of things, and you saw other people that maybe went to church or maybe didn't go to church. You had to literally say, hey, I'm out here on my own. Do I decide to get up and go to church today? Because sometimes church becomes a ritual, but versus am I getting up going because I have a true relationship with God?
Right.
And then once I go through that, and then I'm sure you had parties and you were having fun. Oh, he's a noob, y'all, so he had fun. But the thing is, when you came back, you making sure your life or your generation is a beacon of light. Because I'm seeing that your generation is not as faithful in church like my generation. I talked with another millennium, and she said this, and she said, if you're not feeding me physically, you are losing me spiritually. Is that how young people your age group feel about coming to church?
I think that's definitely a true statement. I think nowadays, my millennium, my age group, we live off a more physical and not spiritual and supernatural. I have to see it. Just like I mentioned growing up, I hear you talking to me about doing great and all the things that God has for me, but I can see this young man in my hood driving the car that I want and living the lifestyle that I desire. So it would be more prudent of me to follow his footsteps than to sit here and listen to you tell me what he has for me when I see it right here in my eyes. I can actually touch it. So I think that's definitely a true statement. You spoke about going to church and that relationship. I will say this, I didn't always want to go to church. I will definitely admit that wholeheartedly. I did not always want to go. I thank God for a grandmother and a grandfather that made me go. Now that I look back in retrospect, I can truly say I thank them for allowing me and for forcing me to go to church, because now in the process of that, I've gained to have a personal relationship with him.
So you were forced to go, but now you have a personal relationship.
Right.
So you're just not going through because when you was forced, you was going through the religious tactics.
I had no choice.
Okay.
But
when you got a relationship with God, you was excited to get up to go and worship.
It became personal to me. I think that's one thing. Once you grab something and it becomes important to you, once you embody something, it becomes a part of you. I embodied loving Christ. I embodied him going to the cross. No, I didn't physically see it, but I truly believe it as a faith believer. I truly believed it, and I embodied that. So it didn't matter if my friends didn't go after a party. It didn't matter if I stayed out all that night. I knew once the church doors opened, I knew I had to either be walking in or making my way to go.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back to hear what's really making him want to get up on a Sunday morning to come to church, even if you've been out partying all night long. Stay tuned. Religion versus relationship.
Fall in love with That's Love 2 Banquet Hall, located at 2988 Old Austin P, Memphis, Tennessee 38128. Now booking, receptions, meetings, prayer breakfasts, bridal showers, baby showers, book club meetings, or just a girls' night out. Fall in love with That's Love 2 Banquet Hall. Call or text 901-281-6337 today.
We're back with LP on religion versus relationship with yours truly, Telisa Franklin. When we left off, LP, you were saying that you knew your friends and all that, y'all would go out and you would party all night long, but you knew on that Sunday morning, did nobody have to force you to get up to go to church. It was your own free will. Because of that, you understood then you had started building what? A relationship. So in your generation, because like I told you when that young lady shared that with me in our conversation, that if you're not feeding me physically, you're losing. If you're not feeding me spiritually, you're losing me physically. So right now, what would you say to that young person, maybe grew up in church all their lives, and they maybe saw something different? They saw their mom or their dad serving in church like crazy, but they saw the pastor and the first family live lavish, but they go back home in the hood or maybe get back on the church bus, but they see their mom and their dad pouring into church and started sowing and sowing and sowing, but they never see the benefits because your generation literally have to see. My generation, right. We walk by faith and not by sight. Mm-hmm. Your generation, y'all move by sight.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So if you're out and about and you're out and you really want to have a conversation with somebody of your age because of now you have a true relationship with God, what would you say to them? Say for instance, I say, well, you know what, LP, that's cool for where you, but I saw me all my life. We had nothing. My mama had nothing, but she continued to pay her tithes. They continued to did everything with the church. So I feel like if that's the kind of God that my mom served, I don't need to serve that God because I can go out here and get it like I live.
Right. That's definitely a great question. That's definitely a great question. My response would be to them is, first off, you have to check your level of spiritual maturity. You have to check it to know when I'm speaking to somebody. Of course, I definitely wouldn't go in strong on with religion because I know everyone feels differently about it. So I would like to see their level of maturity first, because when you go into church and you focused on what the pastor has and what you don't have, I think you're there for the wrong reason anyway. And it's not because, I don't think you're doing it on purpose, you just don't know. Nobody has taught you. The Bible said that my people perish because of lack of knowledge. And if you notice, he says my people perish, not the worldly people, but my people. So when it comes to that, you have to be able to open your mind, because you can't teach a closed mindset. If that young person that I'm talking to or I'm mentoring to, I have to let them know that it's not about who has what. Your parents believed in that, so that's why they prayed for you. You have to understand that the nights that you were doing things you weren't supposed to do, but God made a way, that was your parents praying for you. That seeds that they sowed into that church, that was God just keeping his hands around you, keeping his word to you. But if you're not spiritually mature enough, you won't be able to recognize that God is keeping his word to you. It's just not the way that you want it to be.
And when you said seeds, when I think about your generation from my generation believes that if we have $100 and our light bill is due $400, but we know that God said gives him his tithes and his offering, my generation say, I'm going to trust God. I'm going to give God what's due. Your generation, in essence, say, again, we're moving by sight. My light bill due, so I'm going to pay my light bill and God understands.
Right, all right. I think that goes back to what I just mentioned, your level of spiritual maturity. And I think this happened with probably all ages. If your level of maturity with Christ is not at a point where you're going to trust him with that $100 to manifest and make more, then regardless of your age group, regardless of what you're doing with it, you're not going to be blessed with it anyway, because you're not walking in faith like we should be, living in the supernatural and not just focused on the reality. Because I'm looking at this $100, I'm looking at this light bill, and that's what the devil wants you to do. Because once you see that, all of a sudden you see my lights getting cut off, you see all the bad things happening. But once you live in the supernatural, you don't see how God can make that $100 stretch. So this way you pay your light bills and your tithe. So I think it truly goes back to your level of maturity in Christ.
So what got you in your group, when your age group, what got you there to that maturity? Because I understand that in your generation, again, I call y'all the microwave generation. Y'all want everything right now.
I definitely struggle with
that. You know, the microwave, I have friends of mine that's in music, and they have been doing music 20 years. But I know other people, little young people that's in music, and they come to me, and they want right now success that this person that was doing music 20 years.
Okay, I'll answer your first question first. Okay. What got me? I have to say, honestly, having a personal relationship. That what got me. You know, in church, you hear you're gonna be situations that nobody can actually get you out of but God. I had to realize there was truly some situations that nobody could get me out but God. When people began to show their true colors and their true intentions began to show why they was in my life, and I said, you're not here for the right reason. So I need something stronger. I need somebody else, and God was always there. He truly showed that he was always there. So that helped me grow with him. I can depend on his credibility. His credit score, it would be through the roof because he's always dependable. So I can always depend on him. His credibility definitely just demonstrates his power within my life. So that definitely helped me. And to address your second question about the microwave blessings, I think a lot of things go into that, because you see the entertainers and the rappers and the athletes. You see these younger generations see what they have, and they see the nice cars and the lifestyle that they can only dream to live. So you want it. You feel like, yeah, I've been through enough. My mom is this. Why don't I have it? But they don't understand that to have. They don't know what those athletes or celebrities have to go through to get that. You know. Just seeing the story and the glory, but not really knowing what happened to get to that point. And you're right, we do a lot of time, and I struggle with it myself. I want it right now. I mean, I do dream of speaking in front of tens of thousands of people, but God has to prepare me for that, and he does that through tests daily. How are you going to handle speaking to 10 people? How are you going to handle speaking to 5 people? Will you still give all that you got speaking to 10 people, so I can put you on a platform so you can speak in front of tens of thousands? So again, I just say it goes back to your spiritual maturity, just letting it grow and manifest and letting God use you.
And so when you're talking about speaking, he is a motivational speaker. Of course, he has all of these accolades going on for him. But when because I know like today, you was probably empowering some young people. And I like the fact even today, I've seen you suited and booted, but I do like the fact that you have the balance. Because that's important. As men and women of God, we have to have balance. Because if you're going out to witness to somebody, you can witness to a person on the street better looking like that than looking like me. And a lot of times, even when I go out, I never really even give people my title, because if I go out and tell you that I'm a minister or an evangelist, a woman of God, they start putting this air up. But if I go out and just be me and build a relationship with them, and then they'll eventually ask, what making you sit down and talk to me?
That's definitely key. And I had to learn that speaking with my youth. I work with a youth at Hamilton Middle with the MAN program. We've teamed up with the Memphis Grizzlies, and we actually go out and coach and mentor students at different high schools. And before I told them, I came in there, I told them I was a police officer, and I can tell on some of their faces, the looks they gave me, it was like, oh man, you the police, because of the negative image that they already have portrayed for the police. So I've learned that this attire right here, I can be more comfortable. I can come with my slacks and my Jordans on, and I can relate to them, because they'll see that and they say, oh yeah, this guy, he one of us, you know. Yeah, he grew up just like us. Vice versa, I come in with my full tailored suit on that I love to wear, but sometimes I have to come just like this so I can relate to him. So I think that's definitely key, your presentation to them, and knowing how to relate to them. You know, sometimes I have to turn my slang on, let them know I am from North Memphis, don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
But then I also know how to turn that sophisticated LP on and articulate and speak in a manner where I can be understood from a different crowd. So it's definitely knowing how to do that.
Awesome. Well, I tell you, I am godly proud of the hands of God that's on your life. I do believe everybody is called to do different things, and you have to understand to be tuned in with God. I've seen people after a presentation with you say that you're a preacher, but I feel in my heart that God has called us for everything. He may not never call you to preach, but he's called you to be a world changer. He's called you to be a beacon of light in a dark situation. So when you're looking at your generation, I even see your generation, a lot of them maybe say, oh, he should be a preacher. Next thing you know, they say that I'm a preacher. You never got the true call from God. You got the call from man. And sometimes when you're dealing with religion tactics, religious cults, I still say, they tell you what you're supposed to be because your daddy was, your granddaddy was. But until you have a true relationship with God and have that the ear to really hear God, then you know what call is on your life.
Most definitely. My response to it, and I've heard it, I always ask them, since you know you can see into the future, tell me the lotto numbers so I can go do that. Since you can see in the future, and once my numbers hit, I'll believe you. So until they can do that, you know, I just live. I live day by day, man. I do what God has truly blessed on my heart to do. This is truly my passion. A lot of the things I do, my speaking engagement, I don't get paid for it. I do it because this is what I truly feel I've been called to do. And it's truly
you're sowing seeds. And I believe in my heart, you have to sow seeds. Sometimes we want to get paid for everything, but there's some things that money can't buy.
Right.
When you have the favor of God in your life, you may do this for this, but God may send that person to write you a check that's beyond your imagination because you sowed the right seeds.
Right.
God will tell you when and when not to. But in order for him to tell you, you have to have what? A relationship with God. So LP, in closing, I want you to look in that camera because there may be a young man, a young woman, a mother, a father feel like there's no hope for this generation, because I keep hearing people say all the derogatory about your generation, but I feel in my heart your generation is great. So will you share with them something that as you were speaking to them, speaking to their lives today?
To that young man, young lady, that auntie, that uncle, that mother, that child, whatever you may be, you're definitely a child of God. I want you to know that you're truly on the mind of God. God hasn't forgot about you. God is truly working things out in your favor. The key thing I tell everybody I speak to, face adversity with maturity. The way you handle situation determines when and where God's going to bless you in that next moment in your life. So I want you to take that, hold on to God's word, and I promise you'll be just fine.
All right. Thank you, LP. Well, hey, y'all, it was an amazing show here with LP, inspiring you, pushing you. If you need a motivational speaker, he is there for you. But I really just want to bring him on so the world can see that there's some young black brothers. Yes, I said black. I didn't use urban. I didn't use African American. Young black brothers from the hood that didn't have anybody. First one in his family to graduate from college. He made it, and you can too. But once you understand that you can't go through the religious practices, you got to have a true relationship with God, because God would always send somebody your way to help push you to where he wants you to be. Yes, and I'm telling you, it'll happen. Hey, I am Telisa Franklin, and this is another edition of Religion versus Relationship.